Experience larger than life.
We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Israel continues airstrikes in Gaza. Hamas frees 2 Israeli women. French president to visit Israel for talks with Netanyahu today. More humanitarian aid reaches Gaza. United Nations warns fuel about to run out soon. In ICC Cricket World Cup, Afghanistan scripts history, beats Pakistan for the first time in ODI cricket. South Africa lock horns with Bangladesh today in Mumbai. The festival of Dussehra, also known as Vijayadashmi, is being celebrated across India with religious fervour. On to details now. The conflict between Israel and Hamas continues to escalate as it entered the 18th day on Tuesday. As per the officials, more than 6,400 people have been killed and over 20,000 injured since the conflict began on October 7th. The 2 Israeli women who were freed by Hamas have been taken to hospital for medical examination by Israeli army. An Israeli military helicopter landed in Tel Aviv in the early hours of Tuesday carrying the women. Both were abducted from kibbutz Nir Oz near the Gaza border. Their husbands are still held by Hamas. Meanwhile, U.S. President Joe Biden has spoken to Pope Francis and discussed the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas. Biden emphasized on release of hostages held by Hamas.
The Pope and I are on the same page. He was very, very interested in what we were doing to deal with some of the crises that we're facing, particularly in Israel this time around. And I laid out to him what the game plan was, how we thought we should be providing the kind of assistance to Israel that needed. And the Pope was across the board supportive of what we're doing.
Joe Biden has said humanitarian assistance to civilians in conflict-torn Gaza is a critical and urgent need. Taking to X, Biden said, and I quote, "The United States remains committed to ensuring that civilians in Gaza will continue to have access to food, water, medical care and other assistance without diversion by Hamas," unquote. This comes as more humanitarian aid reached Gaza on Tuesday, even as United Nations warned fuel is about to run out soon. And the United States State Department said it was concerned about Iranian proxies attacks in the region amid the conflict between Israel and Hamas. U.S. holds Iran accountable for the attacks.
We are concerned about an increase in attacks by Iranian proxies in the region, whether they be targeting U.S. interests or whether they be targeting other interests in the region. We hold Iran accountable for those attacks. And as the Secretary said yesterday when he was interviewed, it's something that we are preparing for and are ready to respond to if necessary.
French President Emmanuel Macron is visiting Israel amid the ongoing Israel-Hamas conflict. DD India's Sarah Coates reports from Israel.
Yes, well, the French President Emmanuel Macron is expected to touch down right here in Israel a little later on Tuesday. Just the latest to visit the region to try and stem the violence and stop this conflict spilling out into a wider regional conflict. Now, according to the Elysee Palace, the President will be calling for the resumption of a genuine peace process for the Palestinian people and also halting the colonization of the West Bank. Now, his office says that the only way to be useful is to, 1, show solidarity to Israel, 2, make commitments against terrorist groups very clear, and 3, to open up a political perspective. Now, in saying all of this, it certainly seems as though this widely anticipated ground incursion into the Gaza Strip looks to be imminent. We are seeing a deepening of airstrikes right across the Palestinian enclave. In the last 36 hours, the IDF says it has struck more than 320 Hamas targets in the Strip. Now, a little earlier today, the Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, he paid a visit to soldiers down in the south, vowing that Israel will carry out a ground offensive, saying it will, quote, be a lethal attack from the air, from the sea and from the land, saying to soldiers, do your job, get ready, we will deploy you. In Tel Aviv, Sarah Coates reporting for DD India.
And moving on, the United Auto Workers Union have expanded their strike at Chrysler parent Stellantis' largest assembly plant on Monday, hitting the automaker's profitable Ram 1500 pickup truck production in a major expansion of more than month-old strike. The UAW, which is striking the three big Detroit automakers, blamed the latest walkout by 6,800 workers at the Michigan plant on Stellantis having the worst proposal on the table on wage increases, temporary worker pay and conversion to full-time status, as well as cost of living adjustments. More than 40,000 union members working at Ford, FN, General Motors, GMN and Stellantis are now on strike since the workouts began on September 15th. About 27% of the Detroit three automakers' total workforce as part of an unusual campaign of simultaneous strikes. Stellantis said it is outraged over the expanded strike after presenting a more generous offer on Thursday. And the United States welcomed Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan's move to submit a bill approving Sweden's NATO membership bid to Parliament for ratification. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller said U.S. hopes the bill is passed as soon as possible.
We welcome that step. Obviously, we have been calling for ratification of Sweden's accession for some time, and we look forward to that bill being considered in the Turkish parliament and passed as soon as possible.
And Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador said he would press his U.S. counterpart Joe Biden to open dialogue with Cuba after hosting talks aimed at containing a sharp increase in U.S.-bound migration from Latin America. Cubans are one of the most often apprehended nationalities at the U.S.-Mexico border in recent months. President Obrador argues the U.S. economic embargo of the country is a flagrant violation of human rights and should be ended. López Obrador also met leaders from Latin America, including Cuban and Venezuelan presidents, to explore ways to get migration under control. Obrador is due to meet Biden during a summit in San Francisco next month, where he would discuss Cuba with him. And the United States has reiterated its ironclad relationship with the Philippines, saying it would defend the country in the face of Chinese aggression in the South China Sea. It comes after Manila accused Chinese boats of intentionally colliding with its vessels. Nick Harper sends this report from Washington.
Manila and Beijing have traded blame over the incident that saw several vessels colliding in the waters off a contested shoal in the South China Sea. It took place near the second Thomas Shoal, with no one injured in the incident. But it's the latest flare-up in the contested waters and a flashpoint in US-China rivalry. The US has consistently worked with its allies in the region to try and counter that perceived Chinese aggression, pushing for a free and open Indo-Pacific. The US State Department has blamed Beijing for Sunday's collisions, saying the Chinese vessels had violated international law by intentionally interfering with the Philippine boats. And it referenced the 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty between the US and the Philippines that obligates the US to defend the Philippines. On Monday, US National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan spoke to his Philippine counterpart. The White House says that Sullivan and Eduardo Año discussed the incident, with the US reiterating its support for the Philippines and calling China's actions dangerous and unlawful. The Biden administration says the two men spoke of their country's enduring alliance and friendship and looked for ways to further strengthen the partnership. The US has previously deployed forces to patrol the waters to help its allies and promote freedom of navigation. It's a move that has angered Beijing, with warnings to Washington to stop interfering in an Asian dispute that the US has no claims over. Nick Harper in Washington, reporting for DD India.
And from news around the world, at least 17 people have been reported dead and several others injured in an accident after two trains collided in Bangladesh. The accident happened on Monday when a passenger train crashed into a freight train at Bhairab railway station in Kishoreganj district, about 50 miles northeast of the capital, Dhaka. The cargo train crashed into the freight train standing on the outer track from behind, and two of its bogies got completely damaged. Trains running from the station were immediately suspended following the accident. Around 100 climate activists dressed as Pinocchio staged a sit-in protest to criticize the Italian government's lack of action on climate change. The activists said that they wanted to protest against the lies and contradictions of the Italian government's policies. Protesters also mounted a large papier-mâché Pinocchio puppet sitting on two barrels of oil while holding a burning earth in his hand. Metal workers at Brazilian plants of General Motors have gone on strike since this week in protest against layoffs carried out by the US-based automaker in the country. The strike is for an indefinite period of time after the announcement of reducing workforce at its 3 factories in Sao Paulo state due to drop in sales and exports. Criminal groups set at least 35 buses on fire in the Brazilian city of Rio de Janeiro after police killed a crime boss in an operation. The attacks on buses were concentrated in the west of the city, where rival criminal groups are fighting for territorial control. Of the burnt buses, 20 of them were city buses, 5 were part of the city's rapid transit fleet, and the remainder were chartered or tourism buses. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. The drought in Amazon River has exposed new revelations. What and how, we tell you ahead. World Polio Day to be observed today around the world. Importance of vaccination stressed upon. In yet another exciting match in ICC World Cup, South Africa lock horns with Bangladesh.
Turning crisis into opportunity, transforming ideas into action, stories of real change, tales of sustainable solution.
This series is going to tell stories of such change makers.
Watch Change Makers on DD India.
Welcome to Jaipur.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and moving on. Iran hosted talks between the foreign ministers of Armenia and Azerbaijan in Tehran on Monday. Iran said they offered an opportunity to bring peace to the South Caucasus after Baku recaptured the breakaway region of Nagorno-Karabakh last month. The meeting was held in the shadow of rising tensions in the Middle East. The talks were also attended by the foreign ministers of Russia and Turkey.
We believe in the region's problems, especially in the South Caucasus region, can be solved without interference from others. This is part of the message from today's 3+3 meeting.
And Russia's Black Sea Fleet was engaged early on Tuesday in repelling a Ukraine attack on Sevastopol. Mikhail Razovoshev, the Moscow-installed governor of Sevastopol on the Crimean Peninsula, said on the Telegram messaging app that it was likely a Ukraine underwater sabotage attack. As per Ukraine Navy, Russia deployed 2 ships to the Black Sea for combat duty on Monday, both of which are carriers of caliber cruise missiles, with a total volley of up to 16 missiles. Well, thousands rallied in Budapest opposing the agenda of Prime Minister Viktor Orban on Monday. Demonstrators marched through the streets of the Hungarian capital hours after Orban's speech. In the speech, Orban criticized the EU leaders, calling Brussels a bad contemporary parody, marking the anniversary of Hungary's failed 1956 uprising against Soviet rule. Some protesters in Budapest voiced fears that Hungary might end up leaving the EU under his rule. And ancient rock carvings up to 2,000 years ago have appeared on a rocky outcropping along the Amazon River. Human faces sculpted into stone have appeared since the water levels dropped to record lows in the region's worst drought. Some rock carvings had been sighted before, but now there is a greater variety of rock carvings. The rocky point is called Ponta das Lajes, where the Rio Negro and Solimões rivers join. And the Bolivian Santa Cruz Department has issued a red sanitary alert along with cancelling school after fires across the region caused heavy pollution. The red sanitary alert has been issued due to dangerous air quality caused by fires raging in the soy-rich department. The local government asked farmers to stop agricultural burning, a farming practice used to prepare the fields for sowing, as it was banned since the 1st of August. Since then, the region has been under red alert due to the risk of wildfires. There are currently 5 fires raging in Santa Cruz. And World Polio Day is being observed worldwide to raise awareness and importance of polio vaccination to protect every child from this devastating disease. DD India correspondent Kriti Dussehra reports.
Polio is a highly infectious disease caused by a virus. It invades the nervous system and can cause total paralysis in a matter of hours.
Very first cases that we used to see normally used to be poliomyelitis. And we even had a polio ward, and the ward used to be full of paralytic polio patients, and there used to be many babies who would be on ventilator, and there was quite a high degree of mortality in these babies. And then the post-paralytic sequelae were really, really rampant. And we even had a separate unit that used to take care of the physiotherapeutic needs of these paralyzed children. The pulse polio vaccination started in 1985. Things really changed. And then polio started disappearing. And now we don't have any polio.
India has taken several initiatives for eradication of polio under various programs. Pulse Polio program ensures 100% coverage of oral polio vaccine, National Polio Immunization Drive, regular vaccination to maintain immunity. Mission Indradhanush, nationwide immunization drive to mark the 25 years of Pulse Polio program.
What we do is that we bombard a large population of children with polio vaccine. Now what happens is that all these children have this polio vaccine in their guts instead of the wild virus. So when this vaccine virus travels down the line and infects some other child, that child, instead of having a wild virus infection, gets this vaccine virus, and he rather gets immunized. So what we are doing is we are creating a herd immunity, a very large population that is getting immunized. by bombarding a smaller population with polio vaccine virus.
Both injectable and oral polio vaccines are given to children to prevent them from deadly polio virus. Special drives of oral polio vaccines were conducted during pandemic so as to save children.
After decades of struggle, India attained the title of polio-free nation by World Health Organization in 2014. And India still continues to immunize children below 5 years as part of regular immunization program. With camera person Sumit Dhiman, I am Kriti Wadhera reporting from New Delhi for DD India.
And in business news, U.S. stocks were mixed on Monday after the benchmark 10-year Treasury yield rose above 5% for the first time since 2007. Before retreating, investors are also expecting Q3 earnings from tech giants, including Microsoft and Meta. Well, the dollar softened against a basket of currencies on Tuesday, mirroring a dip in Treasuries yields as investors awaited key U.S. economic data before the Federal Reserve's monetary policy meeting next week. The dollar index lost over 0.5% in the previous session as U.S. Treasury yields tumbled, while Bitcoin returned the market spotlight with the virtual currency soaring on speculation that the United States could soon approve a Bitcoin exchange-traded fund. And Chevron Corp is buying smaller rival Hess Corp in a $53 billion all-stock deal, taking its rivalry with ExxonMobil to the next level by boosting its presence in U.S. shale and oil-rich Guyana. The deal is another consolidating step for the U.S. energy sector and puts Chevron level with rival ExxonMobil. It comes less than 2 weeks after Exxon agreed to buy Pioneer Natural Resources in a $60 billion deal, making it a dominant figure in the U.S. shale oil industry. The supermajors are now head-to-head in two of the world's fastest-growing oil basins, shale and Guyana. And now let's take a look at other stories making news today. At least 3 people, including 2 women and a child, were killed during a stampede in a puja pandal in eastern state of Bihar. The fatal incident also resulted in more than 10 people getting injured. The local police further said that there was no security deployment at the pandal to manage crowds, which led to the stampede. Delhi's air quality has improved from very poor to upper level of the poor category on Monday afternoon, though several areas of the city continue to suffer under very poor pollution levels. Better ventilation conditions due to favorable weather led to this improvement. But the air quality is likely to slip to the very poor category again from October 24th to 25th as per Air Quality Earning Warning System. After successfully hosting India's first-of-its-kind Purple Fest, celebrating diversity this year, Goa is all set to host the International Purple Fest, an event inclusive of persons with disabilities from January 8th to 13th, 2024. During the inauguration of the fest, Goa's Chief Minister Pramod Sawant said that empowerment of persons with disabilities is not an act of charity, but a matter of human rights and social equality. He also invited people from across the globe to participate in this event. And as India is immersed in the preparation to celebrate Dussehra today, a Muslim artist is also contributing to one of the significant Hindu festivals. A Muslim artist from Rajasthan has been designing Ravan effigy meant for Dussehra celebration for years, breaking the barrier of the religion. And out of sports, Afghanistan produced their second stunning win of the ICC Men's Cricket World Cup 2023 to beat Pakistan for the first time ever in a men's ODI, winning by 8 wickets in Chennai. Setting a target of 283 to win, Afghanistan's top 3 all hit half centuries as they produced a high-quality run chase to reach the target with 8 wickets in hand and an over to spare. Ramanullah Gurbaz set the tempo early with a 53-ball 65 alongside fellow opener Ibrahim Zardan before the excellent Rahmat Shah and Hashmatullah Shahidi finished the job with crucial contributions of 77 and 48 respectively. And South Africa and Bangladesh will meet in match number 23 of the ongoing ICC Men's World Cup at the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai today. South Africa has been decent in their run so far with 3 wins from 4 matches, while Bangladesh has won just 1 game. They're placed in 3rd and 5th places in the rankings respectively. A total of 24 matches have taken place between South Africa and Bangladesh in the ODI format. South Africa has won 18 matches, while Bangladesh has won 6 matches. The clash will take place at 2 p.m. IST or 8:30 a.m. GMT. And legendary Indian cricketer Bishan Singh Bedi is no more. He passed away on Monday at the age of 77. Bedi picked up 266 wickets in Test cricket at an average of 28.71 with 14 5-wicket hauls. He also bagged 7 wickets in one-day internationals. Bedi was by far India's most successful left-arm spinner until he was surpassed by Ravindra Jadeja at this year's ICC World Test Championship final against Australia. And it's that time of the year again when India comes alive with the spirit of Dussehra, the festival that signifies the victory of good over evil. The nation celebrates this festival by burning the Ravan's effigy and a sense of togetherness. DD India's Siddharth Bharadwaj reports.
Vibrant lights, feeling of joy and happiness of celebrations. The season of festivals has started in India. The nation is celebrating Dussehra, also known as Vijayadashmi, today. The day holds a special place in the hearts of people and has a great significance. The victory of good over evil, as they say. This auspicious day is steeped in the mythological significance, as it is believed to mark the triumphant moment when Lord Ram defeated demon Ravan. Furthermore, Dussehra also symbolizes the day when the fierce goddess Durga confronted and annihilated Mahisasur's formidable army, ultimately slaying the buffalo demon.
See, since it's a festival of Bengalis mainly, but people throughout the world celebrate it as a very big festival. And literally, like we youngsters, we the teenagers or young adults, literally wait for this festival since a long time, since the whole year.
As far as the celebrations are concerned, Ram Leela, folk reenactment of the life of Lord Ram, is performed across the country. Fairs are organized on a large scale and people come in huge numbers to see Ravan effigies go up in flames. Throughout Navratri, Ram Leela is organized in various parts of the country and people enjoy the enactment of the play based on Ramayana. In fact, Dussehra in India's Kullu Valley of Himachal Pradesh is world famous. It is a week-long extravaganza that typically takes place in October and attracts thousands of visitors. The highlight of Kullu Dussehra is grand procession featuring deities from the region and cultural performances, making it a unique and culturally rich experience. Siddharth Bharadwaj reports for DD India.
Well, that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. Till then, keep watching DD India.